Every Friday evening, when the sun disappeared behind dusty hills of Soweto, a beautiful woman in a black dress would walk silently to one forgotten grave. She never missed a Friday, rain or shine, sickness or strength. She would kneel beside a grave, place one red rose on the soil, and cry until her voice broke. Nobody knew her name. Nobody knew whose grave it was. But one thing frightened everyone. The grave had no name, no picture, no date. Just one sentence carved into the old stone. Forgive me, Mama. For many years, people whispered that the woman was mad. Some said she has killed her own child. Others said she was mourning a lover. But the truth was deeper, more painful. And by the time the whole community discovered why she cried every Friday, even the strongest men in Soweto wept like children. Because sometimes the person you reject today may be the only reason you are still alive tomorrow. In a small township outside Johannesburg lived a young girl named Thandiwe Mokoena. Thandiwe was not born into wealth. She was born into dust, struggle and prayers. Her mother, Mama Nomvula, stood roasted mealies by the roadside. Every morning before sunrise, she carried her blackened pot, a sack of corn, and a small wooden stool to the busy taxi rank. Mealies, hot mealies, she would call out. Her hands were rough, her back was bent, but her heart was soft. Everything Mama Nomvula did was for her only child. Thandiwe was beautiful, intelligent, and ambitious. She hated poverty with a bitterness that frightened her mother. One evening after school, Thandiwe threw her worn-out shoes across the room. I am tired, Mama. Tired of being poor. Mama Nomvula looked at her calmly. My child, poverty is not a curse. It is only a season. Thandiwe laughed bitterly. A season, Mama? Your season has lasted your whole life. Those words pierced Nomvula's heart, but she said nothing. She only turned away and wiped her tears with the corner of her apron. That night, while Thandiwe slept, Mama Nomvula counted the coins from her mealie cells. She did not eat dinner. She wrapped the money in a plastic bag and whispered, God, let my daughter become greater than me. Years passed. Thandiwe gained admission into a university in Cape Town. The whole street celebrated. Mama Nomvula danced barefoot in the dust. My daughter will become somebody, she. But university was expensive. Rent, books, transport, food, clothes. Every week, Thandiwe called home. Mama, I need money. And every week, Mama Nomvula found a way. She sold her late husband's radio. She sold her wedding beads. She borrowed money from women who mocked her. She even stopped buying her blood pressure medicine. When neighbors warned her, she smiled. My daughter is my medicine. But in Cape Town, Thandiwe slowly changed. She met rich friends, girls who wore expensive wigs, girls who entered cars she had only seen in music videos, girls who laughed at township accents. One afternoon, her roommate asked, Thandiwe, what does your mother do? Thandiwe froze. She remembered her mother's cracked hands, her old apron, her smoky smell from roasting corn. Then she smiled falsely. She runs a food business. Her friends nodded with respect. But shame entered Thandiwe's heart like poison. From that day, whenever Mama Nomvula called, Thandiwe answered quickly and ended the call fast. Mama, I am busy. My child, did you eat? Yes, Mama. Are you okay? Yes, Mama. Please, I have class. But there was no class, only shame. In her final year, Thandiwe met Sipho Dlamini. Sipho was handsome, polished and rich. He drove a black Mercedes. He wore gold watches. He spoke softly, but his eyes measured people like price tags. He liked Thandiwe because she was beautiful and ambitious. But Sipho came from a wealthy family in Santon, where people judge bloodline more than character. When Sipho proposed, Thandiwe cried. Not because she loved him deeply, but because she finally saw the life she had always wanted. A life far away from dust, far away from roasted corn, far away from Mama Nomvula's poverty. One evening, Sipho said, "My parents want to meet your family." Thandiwe's heart stopped. "My family?" "Yes, your mother." Thandiwe forced a smile. "My mother is complicated." Sipho frowned. "Complicated how?" Thandiwe looked away. "She's not well. She doesn't like traveling." But Sipho insisted. So Thandiwe made a decision that would cost her peace forever. She hired an older woman from Cape Town to pretend to be her aunt. At the engagement meeting, Sipho's family praised Thandiwe, such a well-raised girl, so elegant, so respectable. Thandiwe smiled. But somewhere in Soweto, Mama Nomvula sat by her small phone, waiting for a call that never came. Her daughter was getting engaged, and she was not invited. News traveled fast in poor communities. One neighbor saw Thandiwe's engagement photos online. Mama Nomvula's hand trembled as she looked at the pictures. Her daughter stood beside a rich man, smiling, wearing diamonds, surrounded by strangers. Mama Nomvula whispered, "My child got engaged?" The neighbor became quiet. "Mama, you didn't know?" Nomvula smiled painfully. She must have been very busy. But that night she cried. Still, a mother's love is stubborn. On the wedding day in Johannesburg, Mama Nomvula wore her best dress. It was old, faded, carefully ironed. She carried a small wrapped gift in newspaper, a handmade blanket she had been sewing for months. At the wedding venue in Santon, expensive cars lined up the entrance. Women wore perfume that could announce wealth before they entered the room. Mama Nomvula stood at the gate, confused but hopeful. "I am the bride's mother," she told the security guard. The guard looked at his list. "Your name?" "Thandiwe Mokoena." He checked again, then shook his head. "Your name is not here." Mama Nomvula smiled nervously. "There must be a mistake. I am Thandiwe's mother." Inside, someone told Thandiwe, "Madam, there's an old woman outside claiming to be your mother." Thandiwe's blood ran cold. Sipho turned. "Your mother?" Thandiwe stood up slowly. She walked outside, and there she saw her mother, small, tired, holding a newspaper-wrapped gift. "Mama," Thandiwe whispered. Mama Nomvula smiled through tears. "My child, you look so beautiful." For 1 second, Thandiwe almost ran into her arms. But then, she saw Sipho's wealthy relatives watching. She saw judgment in their eyes. She saw the old poverty she had tried to bury standing in front of her, so she hardened her heart. "You shouldn't have come," Thandiwe said coldly. Mama Nomvula froze. "I came to bless you." Thandiwe's voice shook with anger and shame. "You embarrassed me." The old woman's eye filled with tears. "Embarrassed you?" Sipho walked closer. "Thandiwe, who is this woman?" Silence. The terrible silence. Then Thandiwe said the words that broke heaven itself. "She is not my mother." Mama Nomvula staggered backward. The gift fell from her hand. The blanket rolled onto the ground. People gasped. The old woman looked at her daughter as if her soul had left her body. Then she whispered, "Thandiwe, I carried you." But Thandiwe turned away. "Security, please take her out." Mama Nomvula did not scream. She did not curse. She did not fight. She simply picked up the blanket, held it to her chest, and walked away. That night, she returned to Soweto alone. Neighbors saw her walking like someone who had aged 20 years in one day. For 3 days, she did not open her door. On the 4th day, a young boy found her collapsed beside her bed. The blanket was still in her arms. She was rushed to the hospital. Her blood pressure had risen dangerously. The doctor asked, "Who is her family?" Nobody knew what to say. They called Thandiwe many times. She did not answer. She was on honeymoon in Dubai. By the time she returned, Mama Nomvula was dead. The message was written on her phone. "Your mother has passed away." Thandiwe stared at the screen. For a moment, the words stopped. Then she sat down slowly. Sipho asked, "What happened?" Thandiwe whispered, "My mother is dead." Sipho looked shocked. "The woman from the wedding?" Thandiwe could not speak. For the first time, the diamonds on her hand felt heavy, like chains. At the funeral, Thandiwe wore black designer clothes, but grief does not respect designer labels. When she entered her mother's small house, everything still smelled of smoke, corn, and old love. On the bed lay Mama Nomvula's apron, her sandals, her Bible, and under the pillow a letter. Thandiwe opened it with shaking hands. It read, "My dear child, Thandiwe, if you're reading this, maybe I have gone to rest. I know you are ashamed of me. I know my poverty became too heavy for you to carry, but I was never ashamed of you. Every coin I made, I gave gladly. Every hunger I endured with joy. Every night I slept without medicine. I told God it was okay, as long as my child had a future. I came to your wedding not to disgrace you, but to bless you. Even when you denied me, I forgave you before I reached the gate, because a mother's heart may break, but it does not stop loving. Live well, my daughter, but please, do not forget the woman who loved you when you had nothing. Your mama." Thandiwe screamed. A deep animal-like cry. She fell to the floor and held the letter against her chest. "Mama, Mama, please, I am sorry. But the dead do not return because we finally understood love too late." After the funeral, Thandiwe returned to her mansion in Santon, but peace refused to enter with her. At night, she heard her mother's voice. "My child, did you eat?" She smelled roasted mealies in empty rooms. She saw an old woman standing near the kitchen door. Whenever she wore diamonds, her fingers trembled. Whenever she looked at wedding photos, she saw the image of her mother standing outside the gate. Soon, her marriage began to crack. People became distant. Her family whispered. So she lied about her mother. What else did she lie about? One day, Sipho said, "You deny your own mother because of money. How do I trust your heart?" Thandiwe cried. "I was ashamed." Sipho looked at her coldly. "That is worse." Months later, Sipho left her for another woman from his wealthy circle. Thandiwe lost the marriage she had sacrificed her mother's dignity to protect. But that was the only beginning. Her business collapsed. Friends disappeared. Her mental health suffered. She stopped attending parties. She stopped posting online. Every Friday evening, she found herself walking to her mother's grave. At first, she cried quietly, then loudly, then helplessly. People began to notice a beautiful woman in black, always with one red rose, always weeping beside a grave. But nobody knew the grave belonged to the woman she once denied. 10 years passed. Thandiwe became a shadow of the woman she used to be. She opened a small foundation for poor mothers and daughters. She paid school fees for girls from township. She bought medicine for elderly women. She fed widows. But no good deed could silence the pain in her chest. One Friday evening, as she knelt at the grave, a little girl approached her. The child wore torn shoes and carried a school bag with a broken zip. "Auntie," the girl said softly, "why do you cry every Friday?" Thandiwe wiped her tears. "Because I hurt someone who loved me." "Did the person forgive you?" Thandiwe looked at the grave. "Yes, but I have not forgiven myself." The girl sat beside her. "My mother sells fruit by the road. Some girls laugh at me because of her." Thandiwe's heart tightened. She turned slowly. "What's your name?" "Lerato." Thandiwe held the girl's hand. "Lerato, listen to me carefully. Never be ashamed of a mother who suffers for you. The world may laugh at her clothes, her job, her accent, or her poverty. But one day, when life becomes dark, you will discover that her love was the richest thing you have ever had." The girl nodded. That evening, Thandiwe walked Lerato home. And when she saw Lerato's mother selling fruit under a torn umbrella, she broke down again because she saw Mama Nomvula in every poor mother, in every tired hand, in every woman who smiled while suffering for her child. On Sunday, Thandiwe was invited to speak at women's event in Johannesburg. The hall was full. Mothers, daughters, students, business women, rich people, poor people. Thandiwe stood on a stage in a simple black dress. For the first time, she told the truth. "My name is Thandiwe Mokoena. Years ago, I denied my mother at my wedding because I was ashamed of her poverty." The hall became silent. "My mother sold roasted mealies to send me to school. She starved so I could eat. She walked so I could ride. She wore old clothes so I could look beautiful. And when I finally became what she prayed for, I rejected her." Women began to cry. Thandiwe's voice broke. "She died without hearing my say sorry." She lifted a red rose. So every Friday, I go to her grave, not because she needs the flower, but because I need to remember the price of pride. Then she looked into the crowd. "If your mother is alive, call her. If she is poor, honor her. If she embraces you with her old ways, love her anyway. Because when she's gone, no apology will be loud enough to wake her." By the time Thandiwe finished speaking, the whole hall was in tears. That night, thousands of people shared her confession online. Her story spread across South Africa, Cape Town, Durban, Pretoria, Soweto. People began calling their mothers. Some visited home after years. Some apologized. Some sent money. Some simply said, "Mama, thank you." And for the first time in many years, Thandiwe felt something close to peace. Many years later, Thandiwe became older. Her beauty faded. Her hair turned grey. Her step became slow. But every Friday, she still visited the grave. One evening, Lerato, now a grown woman and a successful doctor, came with her. Thandiwe placed a red rose on the grave and smiled weakly. "I think Mama had forgiven me." Lerato held her hand. "She forgave you long ago." Thandiwe nodded. "But I needed to become useful with my pain." He touched the gravestone. The old words were still there. "Forgive me, Mama." But beneath them, Thandiwe had added another sentence. "Your love saved many daughters." As the sun set over Soweto, a soft wind blew across the cemetery. For a moment, Thandiwe smelled roasted mealies, warm, smoky, familiar. And then she heard it, a gentle voice. "My child, did you eat?" Thandiwe closed her eyes. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But this time, they were not tears of punishment. They were tears of release. He whispered, "Yes, Mama, I have eaten." And for the first time in 40 years, Thandiwe left the grave without crying. Never be ashamed of the hands that struggle to raise you. A mother's poverty is not disgrace. Her sacrifice is honor. Her suffering is love wearing old clothes. And if you still have someone who prays for you, calls you, worries about you, and loves you even when you are difficult, cherish them now, because regret is a heavy grave and some apologies arrive too late. Thank you for watching. If this tale touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to African Tales by Kairos and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another captivating African story. Until next time, remember every story has a lesson and every lesson has the power to change a life.